Okay, in today's video, we are going to be going over some information about the nucleus and specifically how it relates to mass defect and binding energy. But please don't forget, before we get started, to bottom right-hand corner there, click on that and subscribe to my channel. Get all my excellent physics, chemistry, and math videos. Help me out a lot. Give me a thumbs up for this video. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Thank you very much for watching. Okay, we're going to be talking about the nucleus and mass defect and binding energy. And inside the nucleus of an atom, this is my diagram for an atom here, we have the nucleus, which is positively charged. It has an overall positive charge because it has the positively charged protons, the neutrally charged neutrons, where most of the atom's mass is 99.9% more than that. And of course, we have the electrons, which you do have to consider because they do have some mass, and they go around in the energy levels, in the shells, in the orbitals, in the electron cloud. And we're going to go over some information for all of these things, so then we're going to talk about an example for mass defect and binding energy. Now, when we consider the nucleus, and really, again, the whole atom, we have to talk about the neutron, the proton, the electron, the hydrogen atom, and the atomic mass unit, the unified atomic mass unit. And we're going to be talking about all these things in terms of their mass in kilograms, their mass in unified atomic mass units for the symbol U, and their energy equivalents in mega electron volts. Now, oftentimes we say the proton and the neutron have the same mass. When we're talking about mass defect and binding energy, we have to be very careful about how we add the masses up. So we don't really, the neutron and the proton don't actually have the exact same mass. The mass of a neutron is 1.67439 times 10 to the minus 27 kilograms, which works out to be 1.00865 unified atomic mass units, which has the energy equivalent in mega electron volts of 939.57 mega electron volts. Now, I carried this out to 5 places past the decimal. Sometimes you'll see more, sometimes you'll see less, but we have to take into account to be as precise as we can so that we can, when we add up the masses for the defect and the binding energy, we come out with the correct answer, because a small amount of mass through Einstein's equation equals mc squared can equal a large difference in energy. Now, the proton has a little bit different, a little smaller mass, 1.67262 times 10 to the minus 27 kilograms, which works out to a mass in atomic mass units of 1.007276 unified atomic mass units, and this is the energy equivalent. Now, the electron is about 2,000 times less massive, and therefore its mass is only 1.90935 times 10 to the minus 31. This is 27 minus 31 kilograms, which is 5.48578 times 10 to the minus 4 unified atomic mass units, which is about half of a mega electron volt. Now, when we add up the mass of the proton, because we're talking about usually an atom, we include the mass of the electron with the mass of the proton, and we'll often say that that's hydrogen 1. Okay, because it has just one proton, but we include the electron with that. So if you add these two values up, you'll get this value. If you add these two values up, you'll get this value. You can see it's a little bit more. And if you add these two values up, you get this value. All right? And then one atomic mass unit, well, what is one atomic mass unit? It's 1.66054 times 10 to the minus 27 kilograms, which is exactly one unified atomic mass unit. And that is 931.49 mega electron volts. Now, I did say you'll see these sometimes written to more or less decimal places, and sometimes they're rounded a little different. I think if you look in your textbook, if you look in the appendix of your textbook, if you look online, if you look at Wikipedia, these are the numbers you'll most commonly see. Like, for example, sometimes you see this written out as 539, or this is 0.5 or 0.494, something like that. But we usually, I think that's, if we round them like that, we'll get the right answer. And you want to be as careful as you can that you use all of these numbers and not just round this to 1.67. Okay, now we're going to do, using these numbers, we're going to do a problem where we calculate the mass defect and the binding energy per nucleon for beryllium. And this is the idea. We have the individual constituents. We have 4 protons just laying around. We have 3 neutrons just laying around, and we're going to put them into a nucleus. We're going to bind those all together, bring all those together really close to each other. And when we do that, we lose some mass. The mass of the nucleus is less than the mass of the individual constituents. So we have the mass before which is the individual constituent, and the mass after, and that mass after is less, or the mass of the components is more. We usually say the mass of the bound protons and neutrons into the nucleus is less than the mass before for the individual constituents, and we call that the mass defect, and we can convert that into energy using Einstein's equation equals mc squared. So that's the mass defect and the binding energy. That's the energy, the mass you lose when you put those together goes into the energy that is used to hold them together. All right, so you lose some mass and you convert that mass into energy. So the mass of a nucleus is less than the sum of the separate protons and neutrons. This difference in mass is known as the mass defect. This mass defect is equal to the energy that is released when the nucleus is put together. Okay, we call that nuclear fusion, and that's what powers the sun. That's where the sun gets its energy, by putting those hydrogen atoms together to make helium. And the amount of energy that's released is known as the nuclear binding energy. All right. Okay, now we're going to do a quick example where we calculate the mass defect and the binding energy, and we're going to do that for a beryllium-7 atom. We're going to determine the mass defect and the average binding energy per nucleon for beryllium-7. And so what we're going to do is, we know beryllium is element number 4. I have 4 down here for the atomic number. The mass number is 7, so we have 4 protons and 3 neutrons. And we're simply going to add those up, and we're going to include the mass of the electron in with the mass of the proton. So this is the mass for a hydrogen atom, which is 1 proton and 1 electron, as we had on the previous slide there. And we have also then the mass for the neutron. We have 4 protons, we have 3 neutrons. We're going to multiply the mass of the hydrogen atom times 4. 4 protons, 4 electrons. The mass of the neutron times 3, and we can add those 2 up, and that is the mass. As I said, I like to call it the mass before. That's the mass of the individual protons, neutrons, and electrons. And then what we simply do is we go to a textbook, we go to Wikipedia, we look in the appendix for the mass of a beryllium-7 atom, which includes the electrons, and that's a mass that's been measured experimentally, and we notice that the mass of that is 7.016929. That is the mass after those constituents have been put together, those protons and those neutrons. And you can see that this mass afterwards of the atom is less than the mass of the individual components. And that is, we can subtract that, and that is our mass defect. Okay, that is the mass defect. Now, we're going to simply now convert that from unified atomic mass units, first to kilograms, and then to joules, and then to mega electron volts. And we can use that using our common conversion factors. That's the mass defect, 0.40366 unified atomic mass units. We know that 1 unified atomic mass unit is equal to 1.6605. Didn't have space to put that here, but I included the 0.5 times 10 to the minus 27 kilograms, and that is equal to 6.7 times 10 to the minus 27 kilograms. So this is mass, and this is mass, and those two are equivalent, and we can convert that into joules using Einstein's equation equals mc squared. We have our mass here, the speed of light squared, and that equals 6.03 times 10 to the minus 12 joules. And we can convert the joules, of course, which is energy, into mega electron volts, which is another unit for energy, because we know 1 electron volt is 1.6 times 10 to the minus 19 joules, and that's 37.7 times 10 to the 6 electron volts, and times 10 to the 6 is mega, so we can just say that's 37.7 mega electron volts. Now we said we want to do that for the binding energy. It's usually expressed as the binding energy per nucleon. We have 7 beryllium-7, so we just divide that by 7, and therefore we get 5.39 mega electron volts. Okay, now you can see we have these 4 numbers. We started out with this, we call the mass defect. We converted to kilograms, we converted to joules in energy, and we converted to energy in mega electron volts. So it's a good idea to notice that all 4 of these numbers are really the same number. This is atomic mass units, this is the mass in kilograms, this is the energy in joules, and this is the energy in mega electron volts, and this is what it is per nucleon. Now, I think that's interesting to see the joules and the kilograms, but a lot of times all we really want is this number, so we can simply go from our mass defect and we can convert because we know that one unified atomic mass unit is 939.49 mega electron volts, and you get 37.7 again. And then you divide that, and I think this actually turns out to be 37.6, I think. But it's basically the same number with the rounding. You divide by, and you get the same number for the mega electron volts per nucleon. Okay, so there you go. Those are the information you should know for the proton, the neutron, the electron, the hydrogen atom, and the unified atomic mass units when we're talking about adding those up for binding energy and for mass defect. And then we went through and we converted from our unified atomic mass units into kilograms, joules, and mega electron volts. So thank you very much. I hope you found that video helpful. If you did, please do all the following 4 things. Subscribe to my channel, get all my excellent physics, chemistry, and math videos. Give me a thumbs up for this video. Leave me a nice positive comment in the comment section below. And don't forget, sharing is caring. Share this video with all of your friends. Show them just how much you care. And we will see you in the next video. Thank you very much.